back to the MBP movie podcast. I'm Bob, and joining me as always is my brother Dan. Dan, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad.
And for our adventure tonight, we have enlisted the help of Ryan Huelsman, who is a friend of Adam Bassiano, who they do it's Tales from the DC Multiverse, isn't it? Oh no, you're on the Superheroes and Sci-Fi, aren't you?
I'm mostly Superhero and Sci-Fi.
But you are on the other one as well.
But starting this month, next month, I don't know the schedule. I'm going to be doing Tales like once a month.
All right. You've been on a few already, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I helped out with a Smallville review, Titans review, Aquaman review, that kind of thing.
Cool. So how are you doing? All right?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourselves?
No, I'm not bad.
Yeah, I'm good.
So we are obviously talking Superman tonight for the death of Superman and the reign of the Supermen. But we have some news to talk about first, so I'll do the news and then we'll get Ryan's Superman origin story.
Cool.
That's cool, right?
Okay, works for me.
So, have you guys both seen this image of Henry Cavill, or images, should I say now, in the gym with the Superman statue?
Yes.
Yep, with those biceps that are just too...
I was going to say, it looks like he's been making something, doesn't it? They just look...
It's like he's eating Superman.
Like, he will, if he tries to fit into the suit now, he will break that suit now.
Well, anyway, I just wanted to kind of get your guys' feelings on this, because, Dan, do you know about the Shazam cameo stuff that's been talked about the last couple of days?
The last couple of days? No.
No. Well, I don't consider this a spoiler, but because there was a lot of talk about Superman possibly cameoing in Shazam. And there's a rumor that there is a scene, but it's not Henry Cavill, and it's like a stunt double, and you don't see the face. So I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on that and Henry Cavill coming back as Superman. You know, do you think this is a sign, or do you think it's a coincidence? So Ryan, do you want to go first and give us your thoughts?
As for the cameo itself, first off, I don't know if you guys ever saw the Walmart promos that they did with...
I did, yeah.
Okay, with, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman from the movies. Where it was only from the back or from the side, never close up on the face, but it was those suits. If the cameo is something along those lines, where it's the suit, and maybe they have the person's hair combed to look like Cavill and all this, I would be fine with it.
Yep.
Would I like Cavill to actually be... Of course, obviously, but... I'd be satisfied. I'd be satisfied if just something. Just give us more Superman. I'm not asking for much. I'm not asking for much here. As for that picture, I really hope that it's a sign that maybe Warner Brothers is using these test screenings and that, Cavill-less Superman cameo to kind of gauge whether or not audiences do want Cavill back. And maybe this, Henry heard about it, and this is kind of one of his, interesting ways of telling WB that, he would like, because, negotiations fell apart last year.
Yeah.
Maybe he's willing to come back to the table and keep talking about it. Hopefully. That's just my hope, at least.
Yeah. Dan, what are your thoughts?
I think I'd just echo what Ryan just said, to be honest. I definitely... Was the picture not done for some anniversary or something, though, this picture?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
He's donated a Superman statue to the gym. To be honest, we don't actually know when the picture was taken. We just know it got posted on these specific dates.
Yeah, it could have just been a reminder to say I'm still here. As for the cameo, yeah, I would really love it to be Henry Cavill. But if it's just going to be something that's quick and it's from behind, you can't really tell if it's him or not. Then yeah, I'm fine with that. But it would have been nice to have had him there and seeing his face and have some interaction between him and Shazam. So I presume he's not going to talk. Is that what they're saying?
I don't. From what I read, it doesn't sound like it.
Right.
But I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Henry doesn't do things by accident on Instagram, or maybe his PR team. I don't know who posts this on his Instagram, but Henry never does things by half. He's always got a reason. He's a bit of a troll, isn't he?
Yes.
So I think there's definitely something in it. And as for the cameo, even if it's just, I like blurry Superman on Supergirl, so I'll take anything I can get.
Oh, God's sakes.
Yeah. But I agree with Ryan as well. I think maybe it is to gauge audience reaction, because if the test audiences get excited about Superman, they might think, oh, they do care. But at the same time on that, I kind of think you can't base everything off a test audience. And that worries me a little bit if they're going to go just off what a test audience says.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So should we move on?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So this was something today that actually came out, and it wasn't really anything where it wasn't like too much information. It was a bit of a vague thing again. But Hiram Garcia said their goal is to begin production on Black Adam in early 2020, which would mean The Rock, because I think Hiram Garcia is Danny Garcia's brother, I think. Pretty sure about that. And apparently they are searching for a director as we speak, and I guess Shazam will surely have some sort of reference to Black Adam. So what are both your thoughts on the Black Adam movie and possibly going to production soon?
It
With The Rock, obviously.
It seems to have taken a long time to come around, because it seems to be a while ago since they announced that The Rock was sort of doing it. And I actually thought he wasn't going to do it anymore. Have I missed something there?
No, nothing's been said since he got cast, really. Rock's just did a few interviews. We've not said if...
It's just gone on a while, so maybe people are presuming.
Yeah.
I honestly can't even remember back how long ago it's been since The Rock was cast, before they even had a script or anything.
I think it was like 2014 or something like that.
Oh, God, I feel old.
But I kind of can't think what a Black Adam film would be without Shazam. So surely some sort of period.
I have. It's probably not gonna be this way, but maybe Black Adam versus Superman.
Oh, I'd love that.
Because I know that both The Rock and Cavill have expressed interest in wanting to play off of each other. So,
do you think that kind of diminishes sort of the Shazam Black Adam thing though if he fights Superman first?
See, I'd like him to fight him together. I think maybe you could do, if it is set in the past, because Black Adam, I think he was a hero at one point, wasn't he? And he turned into a villain. Maybe you could do it so you do like the flashback story, and you've got like bookends, and maybe Superman's in the bookends or something, setting up Superman and Shazam versus Black Adam.
Yeah, I think it might be like a sort of origin for Black Adam, and then you'd have sort of a cameo at the end with Shazam or Superman or whatever, and that leads into your next movie.
Both, yeah.
Yeah, both,
yeah. So, moving on again. So, THR which is a Hollywood Reporter, broke the news that a film about the trench is in development, which is the Aquaman thing with the trench. And I don't know if you remember this, Dan, with all like the alien things.
Yeah, I know what you're about,
Yeah. Well, they're not aliens, it reminded me of aliens, sorry. So, what do you guys think about the trench being a possible film of its own?
Do you want to go first in this one, Ryan?
Sure. I always liked the idea of the trench ever since it was introduced in the New 52. I really enjoyed what they did with the movie, and I feel like this would be a perfect way to continue to explore the idea of the trench and what they are, how they kind of operate as a swarm or whatever. And I just got an idea that maybe, we saw hundreds of thousands of the trench in Aquaman. And, I don't think that this movie is gonna, it can't be large in scope. It's probably gonna end up being maybe a couple of scientists or fishermen come across a few of them and bring them back to, some kind of laboratory, and they just, I'd be fine with that. Since we were, we're also told that no one from Aquaman's coming back for this one.
Yeah, it's going to be a horror film, isn't it, basically?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Dan, have you heard about this news? Is this first you're hearing?
Yeah, I see a lot of your comments on Twitter, so whenever you comment on something, I'll like something, I see it. But because I don't read a lot of the graphic novels and stuff, I don't know much about it other than from Aquaman. I just kind of found it not like a bad idea, but just a bit of a strange one to look at. I don't really, until they release it and I watch it, I can't really.
Well, you got to think
on it. I don't get where they're going to go.
It's probably going to cost hardly out to make, like, probably talking 30-40 million maybe at most.
But what about the amount of CGI they'll have to use?
Yeah, but if they do the idea Ryan said where they bring a few back in it and it's a lab thing, it's going to be a bit like the thing, isn't it, where they're in isolation.
Where they could probably get a really, super skinny dude to get into a practical suit or something.
And just photograph it out 50 times.
Because if you look at behind the scenes pics from Aquaman, they did make practical suits. I don't know how much of that made it into the final movie, but
yeah.
And also, I love seeing that people are freaking out about this. That Warner Brothers is not going to make a Flash or Green Lantern or Superman movie instead of the Trench, instead of just maybe the Trench plus Superman and Green Lantern and Flash. But it is Twitter, so
yeah, true. It's just going to be a small horror film.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to cost a lot. It's probably going to come out in October or something. It's not going to come out when all the tentpoles get released. So I don't know why people are freaking out about it.
Are they going to do it for like in terms of, because it's obviously got to be some. It's going to have a more horror element in it than the other.
Oh, it's going to be a horror film, yeah.
So I mean, you think they'll go for a Halloween release? I'm
not saying it'll be a Halloween release, but I could see it being something like that where it's very much back end of summer, when not a lot of films are coming out and stuff. And I think it's right in James Wan's wheelhouses because the Conjuring universe just prints money, and they've got like Annabelle and the Nun and all that. This just seems like a James Wan like staple now, doesn't it? Just to spin off. So I think it's a great idea, and even if it's just a one-off, it could be a nice small little horror film. And I mean, do you like horror, Ryan? Are you into it?
No, yeah, very much, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. On that note, then, have you seen the Child's Play trailer for the new one?
I just saw it this morning for the first time.
What did you think to that?
I like Chucky, but I was never the biggest Chucky fan. if I got nothing going on that weekend, I'll probably go see it.
Yeah. What do you think about people kind of like flipping out because they're remaking it, or do you think it's just a bit like, well?
I'm not surprised. that was A, remade, and that B, people are freaking out about it.
It's not like it's not like they can't just get the DVD or the Blu-ray out of the original and just stick that on if they don't want to watch the new one, is it?
Exactly. It's like when people say that, this iteration of a franchise ruined my childhood. It's like y'all are acting like the creators of the present stuff, present day stuff, went back and stole your DVDs of the original. Just if you don't like the new stuff, watch the old stuff. Exactly.
Got to admit though, bro, if they remade Back to the Future, how would we feel?
Well, that'd be a bit annoying, but Child's Play is not exactly.
I know. But
I would rather a part 4 than a remake, but we'll see.
And have you seen it, Dan, or have you not seen it?
No, I didn't even know it was out.
It came out. It's not really much to it. It's a bit of a teaser, setting up the idea of it. To me, I just thought it looks like Child's Play. So, right, we'll go back to DC then. Have you guys both watched the Justice League versus the Fatal 5 trailer?
I have not, unfortunately.
Oh, dude, come on.
I know. Well, I don't do most of these. That's going to be a reoccurring theme as we talk about the movies tonight, but post Justice League War, I really haven't watched like any of the animated movies.
Right.
But is Justice League versus Fatal 5, is that supposed to be in continuity with Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Justice League, or are they just using the same art style?
I have a little post from Sam Liu, who's directing. I think it's pronounced Liu. I don't know if he pronounced it Sam Lee or Sam Liu. Somebody asked him if it was set in the DCAU or if it was just a coincidence, and he basically put both of a question mark, and he put it is a Bruce story in Inception and done with his designs, as in Bruce Timm, that is, as he puts it. It's all headcanon. So basically, if you want it to be, it is. If you don't want it to be, it isn't.
So it could potentially fit.
That's the way I took it. So I think if you want, for me, I'm thinking now in my head, this goes right between the end of Justice League Unlimited and Batman Beyond.
I think I'm going to do the exact same because it just everything just looks so similar.
And it's all the same voices. There's a couple of new league members, but in Justice League Unlimited, the team was changing every episode. So I think it's a good idea. So have you seen any stills from it or anything, Ryan?
I've seen some of the stills. Yeah, I do. I like that they're actually bringing Mr. Terrific on as an actual team member for the movie.
Yeah, he's not had much use in animation, has he?
No, and they've really, they didn't use him to his full potential on Arrow, even though I like what they did. It just wasn't a lot, so it's nice to actually see him share the spotlight. And I like that they're bringing in not Hal or John or Kyle or Guy. It's Jessica. It's Jessica. I like that.
Cruz, yeah. So I think that's a really good idea as well. And I think as well with Batman Beyond. Sorry, not Batman Beyond. The DCAU, we had Kyle Rayner, we had Jon Stewart, and we even had Hal Jordan for a scene or two in an episode. And you had I don't actually think he's got a name, the Asian Green Lantern Batman Beyond, does he? I don't think he has anywhere. But we had him as well, so it's nice to see that they're still rotating the Green Lanterns, and obviously this is the new one. I get feeling it's a bit of an origin story for her as well, from what I saw on the trailer. But obviously you haven't seen the trailer yet, so. Did you watch it then, Dan?
I'm literally rewatching it because when Ryan said he hadn't watched it, and I thought this is going to go well because I can't remember it.
This ain't going well, isn't it? And join us next time for another.
I'm just watching it now. Yeah. Who's the guy in the suit that looks like space?
Oh, that's Star. I think he's called Starman, is he? He's got history with the Legion of Superheroes and the Justice Society of America as well in the comics. So he's a bit of an eccentric super. I think he's a bit nuts. Before the proper term to you, I think it's because his memories are all messed up or something. I think it might be intentional, like he's messed up himself or something like that. If I remember right from Arc I read.
Right. So I'm just obviously watching it now. When I watched it the first time, I'd watched it after I watched obviously.
So you could have watched it, Ryan, and then you could have.
I'm actually bringing it up right now. So you two talk, I'll watch.
so I watched after Reign of Superman, and I actually thought, so I started watching the sneak peek, and I thought this was going to be a follow-on to that, with the same, the same drawings.
Yeah.
And when I saw this, I was like, oh no, I don't like when they swap it. But watching it now, I like the drawings again because, always going back to Batman animated series, which is my favourite cartoon of all time, I think.
Well, they tend to do 3 a year, which I think they're doing 4 a year this year, but they tend to do 1 or 2 in the continuity, the continuity of the Death of Superman and those actors, and then they'll do like an original story and maybe something else. But there's actually a Wonder Woman one coming out there this year, and I think that might be in continuity again.
What's going on with Batman Hush though? Is that in continuity or is that a one-off?
From what is rumored, I think it is.
Okay.
So that'll be interesting to see how they do that. Because I was, when they first did Death of Superman, Reign of Superman, and they said it were going to be in continuity, I was a bit like, ugh. But we'll get to it. But I think it worked, so it didn't matter. So Ryan, are you watching it or?
Yeah, I'm watching it right now as we're talking. I completely forgot that Megan was in this too.
Miss Martian, which I thought was an interesting idea. As well, because she's never been in the DCAU, has she? She's only been on Young Justice.
She was in Young Justice once. She
she still is. Yeah. Yeah.
And I need to find a way to watch the 3rd season of
that. Well, it'll probably end up popping up on Netflix, I think.
All right, I'm gonna have to watch that. Okay.
Right. So.
Yeah, that looks
right
good.
Then. That's all the news I've got. Unless you guys have got anything that you've picked up on the way.
No, nothing I can think of now.
Oh, you haven't come prepared, have you, Ryan?
Is there any other? Obviously, because we're supposed to be a movie podcast.
I mentioned Child's Play.
Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah. I was just going to say.
All right, then. Do you want to talk a little bit of TV news? Because I don't watch The Walking Dead anymore, but Michonne's leaving, isn't she? I saw today.
I haven't watched The Walking Dead in like 2 years.
Do you know when I stopped watching it?
Why?
When Negan was stood next to him and they couldn't hit him with a machine gun. I was like, this is ridiculous.
Oh, I do have some. There were finally a trailer, wasn't there, for Doom Patrol? I think it looks.
Yes,
I think it looks
I
excellent.
forgot about that actually.
Yeah, I think it looks really good.
Oh,
You watched it, Ryan?
Yep. Next Friday can't come here fast enough.
Oh, is that when it starts? That's fast, isn't it? I've keep checking dates.
I guess we don't know in the UK if we're going to get it anyway, do we?
Well,
you're probably gonna have to wait until the whole damn thing is over.
Yeah, what's happened with Titans? Although some people might have found other ways to watch it, but we won't.
Of course, as you should, because I have no idea why DC and Warner Brothers just won't release the app outside of the States.
Well, from what I've heard, it's got some problems on it, like teething problems.
Yeah, it's funny enough. I used to be quite into anime, and Funimation did the same thing. They had an app in America, and their website all launched in the UK. It didn't launch for ages later. It were like must have been somewhere between 6 months to a year, and we thought we were getting it at the same time. It was really frustrating. And what we think they did was tested it in America first.
That's what I think they do, yeah.
I mean, even when it came out over here, it still had some issues, but there weren't as many as there were when it released in America. Plus, I always think with America, we've talked before, haven't we, Bo, about the market's so much bigger. Yeah, it's not a risk. No, because enough people are going to sign up for it. Where over here, the market's much smaller. So, I mean, I don't know how much goes into the streaming, how much it would cost them, but there's obviously some cost there. So there's obviously that bigger risk here. So I think that's why they do it. Get themselves set up, and then they can get a feeler for the UK market and then launch it.
Yeah. Cool.
I just feel bad for you guys. I feel bad for Adam in Canada that you got that. I mean, you can have your ways to watch it if you choose to, but if you want to do things, if you want to play nice, then you got to wait until summertime, like late spring or something, in order to. It sucks for you guys.
I'm much more patient these days. I'm happy to wait for it. I'll just wait. So I'm hoping Netflix are going to get it because it seems. Well, at least we think they're building a relationship with DC until DC do finally launch their service here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I think there's definitely because I think Marvel have annoyed Netflix handlers to put it in light terms about swearing. They've I don't think they're friends anymore, so I think they've been like, "Oh, DC, come here. DC's the new girlfriend."
Sorry, I've just remembered it. I have got some other news, but it's TV news. Did you see that fans are trying to save Daredevil? And there's a bit of a rumour that one of the reasons it got cancelled is ratings have actually dropped.
Like viewing figures, you mean?
Yeah.
So you'll get ratings there. The thing is, it's not. It ain't gonna happen. No matter what they do, Disney will be like, yeah, whatever. What did Disney need?
But I was under the impression that if Netflix wanted to do another season, they could.
I don't know. I don't think it's going to come back. What do you think, Ryan?
I don't think any of these shows are going to come back. I'm surprised that they didn't just release Punisher season 2. It was like, and that's it. And when they released Jessica season 3, and that's it.
Yeah, that'll be. Yeah. Have they actually cancelled Punisher yet?
No. Not officially, but everyone just after what happened back. Yeah.
I'm just trying to find out if the Doom Patrol is coming to.
It will do. I think it will do.
Yeah.
Well, that's where I think we'll get Young Justice as well. I think that'll come to Netflix as well. So
it's answering the question. The question was on this website I went on was is it coming to Netflix US? And the answer was no because DC have got their own service. Like everybody knows that, don't they?
Yeah. Right then, shall we move on?
Yep.
Sure.
Right, Ryan, hit us with your Superman origin story.
Well, okay, Superman origin story. Okay. Well, growing up, in the 90s, my dad would always show me, the Chris Reeve movies, all 4 of them. He didn't hate any of them. He, just it really takes a lot for my dad to not enjoy, a superhero movie. He might be more Marvel, but the superhero genre would not be what it is today without Superman the movie.
Exactly.
So, I grew up watching those movies frequently and often. And then in 2006, my dad really wanted to, his personal birthday present to me was to take me to go see Superman Returns in the theater. And Sure, in hindsight, it may be a weak movie, a little bit. I still enjoy it, even though, now we know that 2 of the people involved in that movie were just horrible people. I actually had a discussion about this with Adam. It's like, can you still watch something like Superman Returns and enjoy someone's filmmaking style, enjoy someone's performance, and like separate yourself? Separate the person, how they are after you say cut compared to what they are on screen. To me, it's like I kind of force myself to, because I want to still be able to enjoy movies and TV shows that Kevin Spacey and Bryan Singer were involved with. But yeah, I liked the movie back then. I really did. I was always bummed that a sequel never happened. I still say that, solo Superman movie wise, Man of Steel is the best that we have. When I saw that in theaters, it was the first superhero movie I can recall ever feeling like I had just witnessed an event, not just a big budget spectacle, but an actual event.
Another feeling, yeah.
Yeah. Comics wise, I didn't really read much of anything until the New 52 started. So the New 52 Superman I kind of consider him my Superman.
He must have been gutted when he died then.
Oh, I don't even get me started on the last days of Superman and how while I am generally enjoying Rebirth and post-Rebirth Superman stuff and whatnot, just don't even get me started. I can go on a diatribe about how I feel like DC just kind of screwed me over, screwed other fans over, and just by just taking the shortcut instead of actually taking the time to develop. If they wanted to take the New 52 era Superman and Clark and develop him to a more classical, what we have, a more classical standpoint, they could have just been patient and taken the time and developed him that way, instead of just killing off the Clark that they had and just throwing in a pre-Flashpoint version. I know.
It were a bit odd, wasn't it? I know what you mean. I don't know why they didn't just take him and just start slowly changing his personality a little bit and get him a new costume. And maybe they could have even done one of those events where it's like a slight timeline alteration. So maybe it's still the same Superman, but little things have changed.
Maybe. Anyway. I don't know. and the whole Superman, reborn with Mixus Pidlick, that just... It was just annoying. It's like, it almost felt like DC was doing to Superman what Marvel did to Spider-Man with One More Day, where they went through instead of just doing things naturally and through character development, this weird thing called character development, they went through so many stupid storytelling hoops, right, just to get them to where they wanted him to be without actually without being patient. That's just my opinion. Apparently, I'm well aware that I'm in the minority on that. That's not really happy with what DC did with Superman, and the fact they even liked New 52 Superman, kind of makes me feel like an outcast. But
I didn't like his suit, New 52.
I
don't like that suit.
I didn't mind it.
I respect that opinion. It's my personal all-time favorite suit.
Can I just check? This is the New 52 suit is the same one that's in what we're reviewing, isn't it?
It's the one that he starts off in.
Yeah, it's not spot on design though, is it? It's almost like it. It's a bit more purpley looking, I think.
Yeah, I don't like the way it goes up his neck. I think that freaks me out. I don't like stuff touching my neck. No,
I like the collar. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just New 52 suit is my all-time favorite. That's just. But hey,
So that's your Superman. It's like for me, I grew up reading John Byrne's Superman, so that's my Superman. Whereas I found out years later there are people who hate John Byrne's Superman who like the pre-crisis Superman. So you're always gonna have, but it's proof at the same time that every time you do a new one, you're creating new fans.
You create new fans, kind of feel like you alienate old fans. It's like I listen to, people that I listen to in their podcasts when they talk about when the New 52 started and how they felt alienated or whatnot. That this wasn't my Superman and this stuff, and that happened with John Byrne and Man of Steel. Yeah. And now it happened to me with Rebirth.
Well, it's just a remake argument, isn't it, really? That we were on about earlier with films. Like, it's like you can't go get the old comic books.
Just one last thing on the suit as well. I don't like the way it goes down his hand.
Oh, God.
Don't like that bit. It's like, just cut it there where it should end. Don't have I just think it get in your way, surely. If you want to move your arms about.
Possibly.
Oh, my goodness.
So, Ryan, you say, basically, Ryan, your dad got you into Superman, didn't he, then?
My dad got me into Superman, yeah.
Same with me, but my dad didn't like Superman, so...
How come? Why not?
Dan, do you reckon it was because of that story we found out when he was a kid? He jumped out a window thinking he was Superman and landed on washing line.
Oh my!
Yeah, he landed. Yeah, legs either side, kind of.
God.
I don't know. I wasn't aware that he didn't like Superman. I just didn't think it was.
He got me into Superman with Christopher Reeve. He got the first. I always remember him.
Because he liked the movies. Because he definitely watched the movies when they were.
No, he didn't, bro. He didn't. Honestly, he didn't. He just. I think he thought they were okay, but he didn't really care for him. He was a bit more of a Batman fan, so... No,
see, I'll admit that I've been a Batman fan longer than I've been a Superman fan, but in a weird way, I kind of feel like I've made up for that with the passion I have.
But it's okay to love. It's okay to love both. That's what
I do too. And even if there are some times when I'm like scrolling through Twitter and I see people make stupid Batman arguments that just. The people who think that Batman should always be 20 steps ahead of everything and that he should be like omnipresent or whatever, just shut up.
I definitely lean more towards Batman over Superman, but I did realise today when I was thinking about it that Superman has my favourite. I don't read many graphic novels, but it has my favourite graphic novel of all time, which is what we're basically reviewing the animated version of.
Yeah. Well, I always think no matter who your favourite is, most people agree the greatest of all time is Superman. Like, he's the greatest superhero.
Mm-hmm.
That's not like an arrogant thing. That's just he. No, but he's like even just his ideals and what he stands for and stuff. I think he sets the standard, doesn't he, for the rest?
Well, if there was a real life superhero, Superman's the guy you would really want in this world because he knows basically right and wrong. Where Batman kind of blurs those lines a bit.
Yeah, but that's why stories like Red Son are so interesting because he wasn't raised by the Kents and Superman Darkseid where he was raised in Apocalypse and yet you find out different different if you didn't have the Kents you don't have his moral center basically.
Also, brief little tangent. Have you guys heard of or seen the trailer for James Gunn's the horror movie he's producing called Brightburn?
It looks like Man of Steel.
Oh my God! No, it does not.
In a sense, it's like Man of Steel.
Yes. It's so clearly mimicking the Man of Steel trailer. But even I look at that as it's what did Adam and I call it? That's an Ultraman movie.
Yes, yeah.
It's just a subtle Ultraman movie.
Yeah. Do you know who Ultraman is, Dan?
No.
you know Justice League Crisis on Two Earths, where there's like the opposites on the other Earth.
Oh yeah.
The Crime Syndicate.
Ultraman. Yeah, that's I can't remember the names then. Yeah, the Crime Syndicate. That's Ultraman.
Yeah.
And he's like a Superman gone wrong, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right then, shall we move on to Death of Superman?
Yeah.
Sure.
So I thought we'd do it in two parts. So we'll do the death of, talk about that, say what we think of it, and then we'll do Rain. And I don't want to rate them till the end because I want to talk about the poll first that we'd added. So can you save like your ratings until the very, very end? Okay. That's okay.
Okay.
So Death of Superman. What have you got? Anything you didn't? Should we start with negatives first? Let's get negatives out of the way. Is there anything you didn't like? And then Ryan, you can go first if you like. Or shall I come back to you?
Yeah. Come back to me. I gotta think back about it.
Dan, anything you didn't like?
It's not going to be long because I was just trying to think of something. I was like, I don't think I have anything that I didn't like about it.
Oh, very cool. Well, neither do I. So
I think, although you said save my rating till the end, I think me and Ryan are giving it away a little bit.
I can't. I mean, like I said earlier, I have not watched a single one of these animated movies post. I haven't even seen Justice League War. I just kind of always had preferred that the animated movies kind of just were their own one-off things.
It's just like
they just weren't doing. They just didn't. It just didn't do anything for me. I like that they're there, that people have, the options to see these movies, and I want to see Batman Ninja. I want to see just how bonkers.
I don't want to see that.
I think I just want to experience it and just see if it's as bad as Adam.
Yeah, Adam hates it, doesn't he? Yeah.
Oh. Is it as bad as Batman Gotham Knight? Because that was anime style as well, and that it was by the Japanese one, and it didn't.
But it was just a bit. Problem with Gotham Knight for me, it was just a bit boring. That was my problem with that one. It wasn't like
Are you talking Gotham Knights or Gotham by Gaslight?
No, Gotham Knight.
Which one?
Okay, the one where, the one with Kevin Conroy, and it was
4 different stories in it.
There's like 5 or 6 in there.
Oh, the anthology thing. Okay,
I just don't think it worked very well.
I think the thing is, obviously, me being an anime fan, there's a certain style and tone to the way they tell a story, and I don't think it works for superhero movies. I think anime can be a little drawn out, and I don't think that works.
It's a bit slower in it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting, Ryan, to me that you don't care for the new ones, but then it's like that's the new 52 Superman. So I'm a bit like,
it is. I am a paradox. I'm aware of that.
See, Justice League War is okay, and it gets better on rewatch because first time I watched it, I thought it was awful in that, and then
I can't remember it. They kind of all blur into one to me.
The Throne of Atlantis, I thought was really good. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't like that one, so it's interesting to me. So, but yeah, anyway, Death of Superman. So none of us have got anything negative to say.
I can't think of anything outright negative movie-wise. I had a negative movie experience in the theater.
Oh yeah, go on then. So did you watch them both back to back, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I went to that.
Yeah, that's what I did. I'll tell you mine afterwards. Yeah, go on then.
So it's like. Lois is standing at the lip of the crater and throwing stones at Doomsday.
Yeah.
And so Doomsday starts walking up to her. The music is swelling. It's getting really dramatic. He pulls back his arm, and the screen cuts to black.
It was cut.
we had technical difficulties, and it took the theater 10 to 15 minutes to fix it. Oh my god! And we were like yelling at them to fast forward, no rewind. You went too far. And just although it was no, it was just it was it was fun. It was fun because we got to we were all kind of pissed off that it happened, but we're all just laughing.
Yeah, so Well, when I went to see it, Death of Superman ended, and then it had like a 5-minute break till Reign of Superman started. So I ran to the toilet, ran back. Anyway, when it finally did come on after like 10 minutes, there was no sound. And it played for like 5 minutes. So I had to go find somebody to come in and change it. So we got to see like the first 15 minutes, and it were already getting later and later as well because it was on a work night, so not ideal. So anyway, they ended up pushing it back, and they're going, how far back do you want us to go? And we're like, to the beginning of Reign of the Superman, because we've not heard a single thing from it. So that was my negative experience of it. We had some technical difficulties as well.
That was similar to when I saw, I don't know if any theaters by you guys did Superman the movie back in November.
No, I was a bit fuming about that. Yeah, it's my favorite movie ever as well. Superhero movie.
But anyway, so I went. So I went, and I went to a local theater that was showing it. I was the only one there. No video. I completely missed out on the Fleischer cartoon. They didn't even bother trying to show that. I had to leave the theater just like you, and I had to go remind someone, can you please turn on the video? I would like to actually watch. I know I'm the only one in there. I would actually like to watch the movie. So,
see that why do you think you were the only person there? Is that
I have no idea why. Yeah, I was the only one that ever just.
What about when you went to see Death and Rain? Were many people there then?
That theater was about half full.
We only had about 7, but they didn't advertise very well. They weren't advertised very well.
I think Superman the movie, that was like on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and I did go to and that was during the afternoon, and I did go see Death and Rain on the Sunday showing, so that's probably why more people showed up.
Yeah. Right then, cool. Interesting technical difficulty stories.
Bob, didn't we go see a movie like that once, and we came out and
The Dark Knight kept cutting out.
Oh, but didn't we watch
the during the interrogation scene as well, which is like the best scene in the film. It kept cutting out.
Didn't we get another ticket for that though? We got
we got a free ticket to go. I went to see it again day after. So
but we got to see
the only time that's ever.
Sorry, we got to see the whole movie, didn't we?
Yeah. They put it back on where it cut off, but it just kept cutting off. So
oh my goodness. The only time that's ever happened with me was Hunger Games Catching Fire, where it wasn't even the whole building, it was just our half of the theater lost power for a full half hour.
Which half hour is that? Which is Catching Fire? Is that?
It was the second of the Hunger Game movies.
Oh right, yeah.
I still think they should have stopped at 1.
Two's my favorite.
Was it? I really liked the first one, but I thought the story just dragged out in the sequels.
He did it in the first. She's just split it into 2 movies.
Yeah.
But anyway, I remember walking out of Mockingjay Part 1 and just feeling like it was, because it was a Part 1 of a Part 2. I was like, wow, it just felt anticlimactic. It just kind of felt empty.
Did you feel like that about Harry Potter as well? When they did that? They split the last Harry Potter into 2, didn't they, in the first part? Although I enjoyed it, you felt like you probably didn't need it.
I've only ever seen the first Harry Potter.
I've only seen the first 4.
That's why
I'm not that big of a Harry Potter person. I'm sorry.
I'm not either, so don't worry.
Okay.
So, Death of Superman. Anyway, Dan, what did you think to the voice acting?
I liked it. Well, you know me, I have my Superman and my Batman. I'll always like it to be them. I think it's always Batman I can usually get around. It's usually Superman where I'm always like, oh, that's not how I'm used to.
Yeah.
And I'd say that was my initial reaction, but it didn't last very long.
Do you know who it was?
No idea.
Jerry O'Connell.
Oh, was it?
And his wife, Rebecca Romaine, who was played Mystique in X-Men, she was Lois Lane. Which is probably why the chemistry was so good between us two.
Mm-hmm. I like Lois Lane, yeah. I think the rest of the cast, yeah. I'd like to say, literally Superman, I'm talking seconds, you know what I mean, not even minutes. Like, oh, that's not I'm used to, and then, I thought the voice acting was really good, but I tend to find a lot of them are. There's only the odd 1 or 2 where I've not liked somebody. Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of Jason O'Mara Batman. He's starting to grow on me a bit, but it's took me a while. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, so Ryan, what do you think? Voice acting, you happy with it? Or?
Has Ryan Huelsman always been Lex Luthor in these movies?
No, just for these 2, yeah.
Okay, because I just really liked, his performance and his his voice.
I thought he suited this Lex to a T.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And a lot of people, it's something people are complaining about.
Uh-huh.
I didn't like him, but that to me,
I've heard some complaints about it too.
Not that. I don't mean I don't like the way he did it. I didn't like Lex, so to me that makes
you like despised him.
I didn't like him, so to me that made it better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like this Lex is one of the I don't know if you guys ever heard or seen Kevin Smith talk about, his Superman Lives script, and
I have,
when he brings up blacks, kind of having the mentality of, everyone else in the room is beneath him and all that. Yeah. I felt that from this Lex.
Yeah.
He's also got that facade, hasn't he, where he's like the public eye Lex. He's like nice, but then behind closed doors, he is like, I hate that Kryptonian scum and
I hate that effing Kryptonian. Everyone's just beneath,
He goes into like the lab or whatever it is, doesn't he, early on in the film, and he's like slagging him off, isn't he? And he said they're the brightest minds in the world or something, and straight away he's having a go.
Yeah. He's incredibly arrogant as well, and I love how arrogant he is. I think for me, Clancy Brown's the king of Lex Luthor for me, but I think this guy's a very close second, in my opinion.
Like all Lexes or animated wise?
Just animated. If we're going all Lexes, Michael Rosenbaum in a heartbeat. So.
Thank you. I was worried. I was about to be like, what about Michael? He's fake.
No. Just animated. Just animated.
Okay, good. All right.
So do you want to talk about like favorite scenes then? Go from.
You can go first, Miss Ryan.
Just maybe we'll do one each at a time and talk about it together. And so kick us off.
Actually, probably my favorite scene has no action whatsoever. It's Clark and Lois with the Kents in the apartment.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else, but yeah, that is a good scene.
What did you think I was going to say?
I thought you were going to say Clark and Lois at dinner at Bibbo's, because that's my favorite scene.
I just because I've always found Clark and Superman to be the one superhero I relate to the most personally. And to also be in that situation where you're introducing, the loved one to the parents. I like that scene because I've been in that situation many, many times.
What, introducing your partner to your parents?
And just kind of being a little awkward because they're, they're sharing embarrassing stories, and because that's just how my parents are. As soon as that's a sign that my parents like whoever I'm dating, because they'll always go and tell him the most embarrassing stories about me that they can find.
Well, that's good then, isn't it? At least you know they like you. It's just whether or not they like the embarrassing story.
and it was a little. I do, because you guys watch the other animated movies. Have there been hints of Clark and Lois in the past? Because I thought these animated movies were doing the Superman Wonder Woman thing.
Yeah, the previous films before this were, and it's in this one. It's just they've split up, but at least they address it.
They mention that, don't they?
And I liked that. And it's obviously got to a point in it where they've become friends. They've got to a point where the romance has fizzled out, and
that came as a shock to me, because I didn't know if they were going to do the Clark and Lois thing.
Yeah, well, I think you can't do the Death of Superman without Clark and Lois. It's got to be. It don't work. The emotional crux of the story is not there.
I think you kind of need Lois for Superman, though, to be honest. I don't really like the Wonder Woman Superman thing.
I didn't mind it, because I think, why not try something new? All these years. I mean, I never wanted the marriage to end in the comics, but if you were going to find a way to end it, you might as well try and do something new rather than the same old Clark. Because the end game is always going to be Clark and Lois, isn't it? Eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just talk about my favorite scene is actually the one where he's in the Bibbo's with Clark, with Lois, and he's basically trying to tell her he's Superman, and she thinks it's funny, doesn't she? She's like, "You're not Superman," but I like that, because it's like,
I do.
She can't believe that he's Superman, because he's just Clark Kent, and Clark Kent is actually who he is, isn't it? The way he acts and stuff around her, he's very much. He probably is a bit of a goof and a bit, he's a farm boy and all that. So, and I'm a bit of a soppy sod. When he left her the note saying he loved her, it choked me up a little bit, because it's like a really emotional moment. And obviously, as a fan watching, that he's going after his death, which is quite sad. So, that's probably my favourite scene from the film. Have you got any, Dan?
Well, you know me, I'm a bit of an action junkie, so it has to be the battle between him and Doomsday. It's just such a grand scale of a fight. And I love that sort of stuff. And I think the way they handle the death is perfect as well, because I remember in the graphic novel reading that, and I were like, I don't want to say heartbroken, but I kind of felt it. You know, I don't usually get emotional about stuff like this, but you really felt it, really gripped you, and you're like, oh my god. Like,
yeah, I think this film did a brilliant job of capturing the emotion of the heart of the story.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I think would have been, because I don't think Superman Doomsday quite did, which not to. I'm not going to poo-poo on that movie because it was the first of the line of movies. But
I still quite like that movie.
No, I do as well. But I think he didn't quite feel the sadness when he died. And I suppose when he dies at the end of this one, you know, there were a period where I saw it. I had to wait all those months to watch the second one.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think one of the things the animated film does better than the comic is, I think it's better that Doomsday takes on like the Justice League, like Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash. He doesn't take on like the jobbers that he takes on in the comic book, like Blue Beetle and
the Justice League aren't in the graphic novel, are they?
They are, but it's the Justice League International, and it's like Blue Beetle and Maxima. She's another one. It's all they're kind of like they're not weak superheroes, but they're not like the top dogs. Whereas Doomsday and this takes out everyone, and you know for a fact the way he leaves Wonder Woman at the end of the fight, you know, he means business, don't they? So.
Oh my God, Doomsday is brutal to Wonder Woman in this movie.
Oh, I know. It was a bit hard to watch, isn't it, when he's just constantly punching her?
Exactly. It's like, are we really seeing this? Oh my! I know it's a cartoon, but still, damn.
I tell you what, though, you almost think the Flash has got him, don't you? When he keeps hitting him with a mace. That's such a good moment. He takes Hawkman's mace and he's just hitting him at super speed over and over and over again.
Oh, there's something I forgot to mention about the voice cast. Loved that Nathan Fillion was doing Green Lantern again, and I think he was criminally underused. I really want to see him use him. Love Nathan Fillion.
Well, he's done a few of them now, so
yeah.
He's definitely the best Green Lantern voice, in my opinion. I don't know if you agree, Ryan.
Yeah,
Nathan Fillion for me.
I understand why people want him to just play Hal in a movie, so I get it.
Well, maybe he will in the new one, because it's going to be a call for an older Hal Jordan, isn't it, with the Green Lantern car, if it ever happens.
Well, so you guys for DCEU, you'd prefer Nathan Fillion over like Tom Cruise?
Oh yeah, I really like Tom Cruise, to be honest. But
I do, but I don't see him as
Tom
Cruise is kind of Tom Cruise, isn't he? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think I would see him as Green Lantern.
No, I think if they did it, I think he'd be phenomenal. I think he'd give a hell of a. He's a great actor.
I can see him doing older Hal being the mentor to John or Guy or however they want to do it.
Possibly. I don't know if he's too big of a star for it, though, you know, with because they're trying to watch the budgets now, aren't they, as well?
I think you'd be like putting Denzel Washington as a superhero. I'd just see Denzel Washington. I'd never see that superhero.
But then again, maybe that's what something like Green Lantern needs, because the Ryan Reynolds film absolutely bombed to the point where, I mean, and I think Ryan Reynolds was like perfect for Hal Jordan as well, so it's a shame it did so badly.
And I like that movie.
I like it too.
I always point out Green Lantern, the movie, as it's a superhero movie that I enjoyed. I really wanted a sequel, and it did its job, which it made me go out and want to read Green Lantern comics.
Yeah. I read Secret Origin straight away.
I really liked the first hour. I thought the second hour is where it kind of lost the plot a little bit.
Weaker and stuff.
I don't think it's a terrible movie or anything. I think
the problem with it was
it needed to end stronger than it did.
Yeah, and I think as well because they couldn't decide who the villain was, and I think that was showed because apparently in the script Hector Hammond in the first draft was very prominent, and then I think as the drafts went on, he kept getting whittled down, and then he kind of just ended up being a bit ineffective in the end.
And not only did Parallax look stupid, but I always kind of had felt that, you know, in hindsight, because I didn't know this going into the movie, but in hindsight, after reading comics and all that Parallax should have been saved for like the third movie, like a trilogy ending.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
He don't come out
just gone in and done Sinestro. I just think he's the bad guy in that. What's the
First Flight?
Movie? Yeah, First Flight.
First Flight's fantastic. Yeah. I think that would have been a better option to go with, but anyway,
maybe do like Sinestro, the first movie, and then the Red Lanterns, the second movie.
And then Parallax, finish it off. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that probably would have been quite good, but we'll never know now, will we? Maybe in an alternate universe.
Exactly. all these multiverses, how Adam has his multiverse wives.
Yeah, we mentioned that last week. Yeah.
I have all the multiverses where all these awesome movies actually got made.
Yeah, like there's an alternate universe where Tim Burton's Superman Lives was made, and Nicolas Cage did a trilogy of Superman movies.
and I want to live in that universe, but it's just...
Me too. I'd love to see that film.
Mm-hmm.
We need to find like a VPN that allows us to see their films.
Yeah, that would be brilliant. Yeah.
Just give me a Rick and Morty portal gun, and I'll go get DVDs and Blu-rays.
Yeah,
for all of us.
We can bring us some back as well. Yeah.
Of course.
So anyway, back to the death of Superman, because we'll finish off on that one. I think the way he defeats Doomsday in the film is better than the comic book, with the double axe handle in the face. Basically, this was proper neck snap, and obviously they used In fact, I'll probably go back and mention this during the fight. There were a lot of parallels to the fight in BVS, like the heat vision battle, and even stuff with Wonder Woman was very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the version where he grabs like his bones and he basically splits his bones or something inside him. What's that one? Am I imagining that? I'm sure doesn't he grab his head and the bones on his head, and that's how he beats it. I could have sworn I'd seen that.
No, are you thinking of Justice League, the animated show? Because it did something to him like that on that, and
maybe I don't know. That was my favourite version, but I do agree that this was a good way to.
Because you can't come back from that because his head does a whole a full turn, doesn't it?
I don't think my son noticed, and I was like, Ethan, his head's pointing the wrong way.
Did you notice how the animation kept getting better as the fight wore on as well?
Yeah, I think I said it to you before, on all these DC animated movies, they've learned a lot of tricks from anime. You'll just see some bits, and you're like, oh, they've got that absolutely perfect.
But in the comic, every page gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and I felt like they did it in this. In every hit, they did the stop motion and the shockwaves, and there were points on the way it just literally just froze, and the noises were there, and I thought it was just absolutely perfect.
I liked as well that it's Lois that because he's got nothing left, does he? Basically,
no.
So
he asks for her. Yeah,
he gives everything he's got.
I kind of like how Lex gets involved in the fight as well, and
so cocky.
And then he gets mad that Superman's gonna actually be the one to finish it off because Lex Lex wanted to be the hero. Lex wants to be the savior.
But it shows a lot, doesn't it, that Superman will always save Lex, even though that's just the kind of character he is, isn't he? So so got anything else to say about the film and the fight before we move on to Rain?
The fight was still graphic, but not as graphic as BVS. At least it didn't involve, Doomsday, impaling Superman through the chest. I mean, damn.
He does impale him, though, doesn't he? But you don't really see it. You sort of see the prod through his cape, don't you?
Yeah, a little bit, but it's not as.
No.
It's not as graphic and
he hasn't got a massive hole in his chest afterwards.
I know, it's like, jeez.
I think you said you were going to mention your favourite scenes, but I think you've only mentioned two. Is that all you have, Bob?
Well, to be honest with you, I kind of feel like the film, the best scene, he's literally you've got these brief little scenes at the beginning, and then it's like the fight. It's like the entire film. I mean, I could go on forever about because I love the early Superman scene. I'd love to see a Superman film open like that, where he just stops criminals, especially Intergang.
That was one of the things I wanted to mention, actually, just reminded me. I love the way they didn't show him at first, and you just saw, the blue and red go past until it revealed him, and I thought that's that epic character moment that's perfectly fits Superman.
Yeah.
Absolutely spot on.
One of the things I appreciated was they reused the line for Superman the movie, but it was Lois and Clark that swapped them around, so you've got me, who's got you, that line?
Oh, yes. I love that, too.
Yeah. Have you got any other scenes you want to talk about, Ryan?
Nothing that really sticks out in my mind. I think we've covered the big ones.
Do you want to both give a brief overall thoughts on Death then?
Well, I'd never seen Superman Doomsday, but kind of coming into this one as being the first of this, shared universe, the animated movies.
Yeah.
Will it make me want to go out and hunt down the others and watch them? Probably not, but I did enjoy it overall. Hell, the only reason why I even saw this double feature, I forgot who said it to me on Facebook. I can't remember if it was you guys or some other random person.
I might have shared it because I did share it a lot, even though it was a lot of American ones coming up.
Yeah. I forgot who it was that said, who knows when you're going to see a Superman movie in theaters again. I was like, oh, crap.
Do you know what? I don't want to take credit, but I think that might have been me because that was my thought. That was why I went. Yeah. That
is literally the only reason why I went, because I was like, crap, he's right. When am I ever going to... Yeah. But overall, I liked it. Yeah.
Cool. Dan?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to kind of touch on the fact that, we haven't mentioned many scenes, and if people are listening, don't take that as a negative against the film, because I think it's more of an emotional impact how this gets you, this first film. And I remember after it finished, I thought, this is the best animated movie I've seen. I think it's that good.
Cool.
That's personally what I thought. I mean, in terms of the DC ones, I don't mean any animated movie, because
you're
never going to beat Akira for me, but that's a different story. But yeah, in terms of the DC ones, I think this is the best.
Well, I think this is my favourite, not only my favourite DC film, it's probably my favourite Superman film, and I'm including every Superman film in that, including live action. It literally just hit every beat for me, and I actually, controversially, I think it's better than the comic book, which it was based on. I think it makes improvements where the comic book couldn't, because they obviously had to keep the continuity of their stories going.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I think this is like, I don't think you get better than this basically when it comes to Superman.
Yeah.
And I wish we got this in live action.
The only thing I'd say about the graphic novel when I read it, and I'm not like you guys probably read a lot of stuff where I don't. I didn't know where this was actually going, and I was like, right, okay, he's dead. Is he coming back, or what's going on? So that's the only thing I think I'd, say against you, because you were saying it's better than the graphic novel. I couldn't get that.
Well, it was a long time ago you read it, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah, it will have been, a long time ago.
Probably like 10 years, maybe more.
Possibly, I haven't caught the bus for quite many years now. So.
Right then, shall we move on to Reign of the Supermen?
Yeah, sure. Do.
Right, we'll start. Have you got anything negative you want to get out of the way first? Because I like to end on positive, so I'm a bit
I do, and I'm just going to get it out of the bag, because I think a lot of people have already mentioned this. I haven't seen it, but you've told me. The fact that we didn't get 3 movies, but at the same time I understand why we didn't get 3 movies.
Okay.
But I kind of missed that when he comes back, you don't have that period, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but when he comes back in the graphic novel, you don't know it's him, do you? And there's that mystery that you're like, is it him?
Are you talking when Superman comes back, or when the Superman? Yeah.
No, when Superman comes back, because it leads into the third one, doesn't it? And you're like, you're never quite sure at the beginning whether it's him or not, and you just keep thinking, it must be him, or not being him.
Well, I think the thing in the graphic novel, or I should have said the ongoing comics, because the graphic novels actually don't have all the comics in. There was obviously a period of about a year where he wasn't in the comics, and then he'd have all these other Supermen show up, and then people probably did wonder, was he? Because I always thought when I read the comic, I always thought the Eradicator was Superman, and I thought he would, in the end, he would get his memories back. And I don't know. Have you read the comics, Ryan?
It's been a while. I'm more familiar with the death part than the.
Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. Did you not have like a thought when you were younger reading it? Did you not think Did you ever think any of the 4 Supermen were actually Superman? Reading the comic.
Honestly, no. The first time I ever read the whole story, I can't recall ever really thinking, Steel was Superman or Eradicator or Cyborg.
Well, you were only going to be one of 2 on it, let's face it.
I sure as hell knew it wasn't Superboy for sure.
Did you ever think that, Dan, reading the comic, or do you not remember?
I can't remember. The other thing I was going to mention is I felt the middle graphic novel was the weakest of the 3, but
which
I don't
is World Without Superman.
Yeah, that's not slight. It's just obviously Superman's
that's
not
why
there,
I don't think you could have 3 movies because you'd have too much of that.
That's what we're going to lead into.
Yeah.
I think it would have been hard, and I don't know how you would have kept the audience's attention throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you'd have no. I mean, you could have him coming back at the end, I suppose, but I think how are you going to fill an hour and a half with just?
Yeah, that's why I think it's better because I think they've re-released a lot of stuff as a graphic novel as Reign of the Supermen, and it's kind of got more in it than because there was a whole storyline called Bloodlines that ran in the comics at the time. It isn't in the graphic novel, which is like a little side story of all the Supermen as well that they were involved in.
Are you talking about the original when it was originally released, or those new versions that got released like around the time of BVS?
Right, I haven't read those, but I'm assuming they've got more in them.
Because I know it's first one's Death of Superman, then Funeral for a Friend, World Without Superman. Yeah.
But they did it. There is a graphic novel they called Reign of the Supermen, and I think that's got pretty much covers the whole of that period where it's just those 4 Supermen running around.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So is that all your negatives, Dan? Or have you got anything else?
No, just that one really. I just felt that was a bit lost on the animated version. The fact that you knew straight away with Superman on.
Well, at the end of Death,
that was a bit disappointing.
He's back by end of Death, isn't he? I say he's back. You see him in Sky flying. You think it's him. It might not be him.
I thought that. I didn't think that was him.
I thought that was Eradicator.
No, well, I think
it is. You
don't know that watching it, do you? Because they don't actually show you who it is.
Yeah, because that confused my son.
Yeah, and then you've got your 4 little credit snippets, which I think they had to do to set up the next one. I think without those, the next one maybe doesn't work quite as well.
I didn't see them the first time I watched it. I only saw them the second. I was flicking through. Oh my god, I missed these the first time. And it would have made the second one make so much more sense how it starts.
Yeah. So, Ryan, have you got any negatives?
Nothing specific, but overall, I just kind of felt like it was kind of piggybacking off of what you guys are saying. Just kind of felt a little rushed that they were trying to fit, Road Without Superman, Reign of Superman, Return of Superman, all of that into one. Hour and a half block, while Death of Superman got its own.
Yeah,
and not that it was inherently bad, but it kind of had an overall rush,
Yeah, I certainly think when he comes back, that bit just feels a little bit quick.
Do you think maybe because we've not necessarily that part, but you're about the rush part? But do you think because we've read the comics, because we know there's more to it? Do you think we are kind of projecting that on it?
Possibly.
I think, yeah.
Because I know for me personally, I would have loved to have had more Eradicator, and he was a huge part in the comics. Like I said originally, I thought he was Superman come back, and with no memories. So I think maybe because we've got all this backstory and we've got that we read The World Without Superman and Funeral for a Friend and all that sort of stuff. Maybe we are projecting that on it a little bit.
Possibly.
Yeah, I think it's like the same principle as when people read a book and then they go see the movie adaptation and they're like, well, they cut this off. You lose something. You lose something when you're doing a direct adaptation. Instead of movies that take little bits and pieces, but that's one thing. But when you're doing a direct adaptation of a book or something, you lose a little bit.
I think as well you've got to kind of give them the leeway, aren't you, to do what because this had to follow a different continuity.
Yeah, it had to, obviously.
It had to pull a lot of stories that came after, like the Superboy clone reveal. That wasn't in the comic. That came later.
Yeah. And actually thinking about stuff like that, that's why I kind of with you where I felt Death of Superman, the movie was better than the comic because I like that. It had the Justice League fighting Doomsday before Superman came.
Definitely, yeah.
Instead of these, God, the first time I ever read Death of Superman, I'm like, who the hell are these characters fighting Doomsday before Superman shows up?
Yeah, because there's one I think it's called Bloodwind, and that was Martian Manhunter in disguise, and it was like a story that were going in the Justice League at the time, and it's like, who
the hell are these people?
Yeah. And they're just jobbers out there. They're basically like the wrestling equivalent of them jobbers used to get on WWE Superstars who'd fight. like John Bryan had come out to fight Ric Flair, and you're like, well, you know, Ric Flair's going to win this one. I don't know if you used to watch wrestling or not. I assume he did. Yeah, I think my personal negatives, I ain't got many. I just don't think it was as good as Death of. But it's a different story, so you can't really expect it to be. And I think the only other thing I'd say is, you know, the way they got rid of the Justice League, I got it, but it was also a little bit lame.
Yeah.
It was almost like, why not just not have them around if you're just going to do that? Do you know what I mean? It's clever because you have to get them out of the way in a sense, but at the same time, it's like they literally get the way they get defeated. I just don't think the Justice League could get defeated. Like that, do you know what I mean?
I think I felt like there's a point because I think my wife said they look up and she's like, "Well, why don't they just move our way?"
Yeah.
It did seem to be feeling like that.
When that thing's rolling, it's like just move to the side, you'll be all right.
just take one step to the left and you're good.
Yeah.
Especially with Flash, he's so quick. He's supposed
to
but he wouldn't get caught like that.
I got why they did it. So
yeah, of course. You
can kind of give him a pass for that, and then it does bring a cool moment later, doesn't it, when they come back, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
So, right then, should we get into favourite scenes? I think there's actually probably more to talk about with Reign of Superman.
Yeah, I was going to say to you when I was earlier on, I was going to watch it. I knew I didn't have enough time to watch it before it came on, so I was flicking through and I actually skimmed most of Death of Superman and watched the fight at the end, and this one I found I was stopping it a lot to watch more bits.
Well, there's more going on, isn't there, really? Because that's just like one story, where this is like almost like multiple stories, because you're following 4 Supermen and you're following Lois Lane.
Yeah.
Who's probably the main star of the film, I would say.
I'll jump in first on this one then. Yeah. Well, as I said before, Action Junkie. The fight between the Eradicator and Superboy is just insane.
Well, that whole sequence, it has all 4 Supermen, doesn't it?
That whole sequence is fantastic. I was going to say, like Steel. Is he called Steel? Is that right?
Yeah, that's a cool entrance, that, isn't it?
Yeah, he comes in, and obviously the Hank Henshaw guy. What's he called? What do they call it?
Cyborg Superman, yeah.
Because my son recognised him straight away, and then he comes like just a picker just on the grand scale. And I love that bit where Superboy says something to him jokingly about him flying away, and then he comes down with his Eradicator. He's like, oh damn.
Yeah, he does.
All the glasses smashing. It's just insane.
Could you imagine that in live action? It would be insane, wouldn't it?
I would also say, are you going to go on to who was favourite?
Well, shall we do it? Are you still talking about the same scene? I don't want to I think we should do a scene each and then.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what you're doing? Sorry,
yeah.
I think this is probably the best part of the movie. Actually, this fight for me. It's just it has so many epic moments, like the moment they lock up as well when Cyborg Superman locks up Eradicator. That's like a moment in a film where you're like, I'm seeing something special here.
Yeah.
Are you into that? What was your thoughts on the fight, Ryan, at the start?
I think you guys have with that fight with all 4 of them in the hotel, not hotel, it just looks like a hotel lobby, the Luthor Corps lobby. Like, that's one in the hotel fight. No, wait, no, it just looked.
I felt so bad for Mercy as well when Lex Luthor was like, "Thank you," and she's like, "For what?" And then he blames it on Superboy.
God, poor Mercy. You know, she keeps getting screwed over in movies.
BVS, she got blown up, didn't she?
Yeah. She got killed in the Capitol. He just left her there.
Can I just check? Is she supposed to be the same person who you get in? Is it Superman the animated series? And
yes, yeah. She's his limo driver. She's everything. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he slept with her. Anything you can think of.
Is she like his Harley Quinn, if you like?
I suppose in a sense, like she's his number 2. Yeah, I suppose. Have you got anything, Ryan? Then is a favourite scene?
I'm torn between 2.
Just hit us on both. It's fine.
The fight at the end between Cyborg, real Superman, and Lois.
Yeah.
That was the next one I mentioned to him.
And also the what's the female version of bromance? Whatever you want to say that is between Lois and Diana.
Oh yeah. I don't know. Gal pals.
Gal pals. I just love that those two. You know, the sister romance, whatever.
Yeah, and it makes for a funny moment later, doesn't it? When Clark finds out and he's like, "What the hell?" He starts seeing in his eyes.
Evidently, it's woman's. It doesn't quite sound right, but woman.
It doesn't sound
like
right
an organ.
at all.
Or cis man's. You could call it.
God.
Sounds like something. That's like something you want to remove.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work as well, does it?
It doesn't sound benign.
You know the bit where she does the Wonder Woman twirl and from the old TV show.
I do love that. Yeah.
Yeah, in the cinema that was so loud. Was that loud in your cinema? It was loud in mine. It made me jump. It was that loud, yeah.
I don't recall it being significant. Okay.
Then again, we had no sound for 10 minutes, so maybe everything just sounds louder after that. So we'll come back to the fight between Cyborg and Super. We'll do that at the end because that's like the main scene of the film, isn't it? So Cyborg Superman, I was never a fan in the comics, and I think they actually did a better job in the film than the comics again with that character. One of the things I really liked was because in the comic it was like a Fantastic Four story when Hank Henshaw started, and it was basically like the Fantastic Four had gone wrong, and instead of mutating and getting powers, they mutate and like die and turn into things. And but it was like a really old story, so when they brought Cyborg Superman in to Return of Superman, unless you'd read that story all them months ago, you didn't have a clue who he was. Well, Hank Henshaw, they had to do this all. So I think linking it to the first one where he's an astronaut and then he hates Superman because he didn't save him, I thought that was a nice twist.
Didn't you think that was a bit lame though? He hates him because he didn't save him. It's like
no, because if you think about it, if you watch the first film, he's clearly not rational man, is he? The way he acts because. No. Everyone in the rocket's flying out of it, and he just thinks Superman's there to save him, so he's happy Superman's there.
He's pretty much trying to do a whole Jesus take the wheel, but Superman take the wheel kind of thing.
I get it.
Yeah. And I think one of the smart things about this film was Darkseid, because in the comic they bring in Mongol, and I don't really think that worked that well. But in the film,
I do like that they try, because again, this is more New 52 based and inspired, and considering how this whole animated shared universe started off with Darkseid, it's nice to kind of bring it back and and obviously it's setting up something for the future. But I didn't feel like it felt like they just put it in there for the next film. Like I love BVS, but like they brought in there's that scene in there where the Flash comes and he's like, Lois is the key. It just comes out of nowhere. Whereas this, because Darkseid was linked to, creating Doomsday, and he was linked to making Hank Henshaw into the Cyborg Superman. It was like that was like a nice twist on the story, if that makes sense. Yeah. So it worked for me for the purposes of the story. It worked for me.
And it's obviously going to set up the other one they're probably going to do next year, which we'll probably get to. We'll talk about the end credit bit a little bit later on. I think one of my favourite scenes was actually in the Fortress when Steel's fighting Eradicator. And this was the moment where Superman returns. And he's in the rocket, isn't he, the Charles Rocket? I thought that was very cleverly done. And basically they think he's siphoning his power from Superman, but he's actually giving Superman the power. So I think, and I love the Fortress of Solitude. It's like one of my favourite sets in any, like if they do it in the films or in Smallville or whatever. I've always loved the way the fortress looks, and I've always liked the crystalline fortress, which I know some fans are not that keen on the internet.
What would be the alternative?
Sometimes it's just like a bit of an ice cave, isn't it?
Yeah. I think the complaints I see online are just from people who just kind of want something different. They don't necessarily hate it, but they think it should just be like the Chris Reeve version of Superman.
I think you can kind of do it. Yeah. I think you can kind of do it. You can still use the crystalline stuff, but still make it unique to its own thing.
Yeah.
But I think, obviously, there's that contingent of fans on the internet who just anything Chris Reeve Superman they hate because it's not Henry Cavill. Whereas I'm like, I love Superman, so I like it all.
Exactly.
I quite liked the arc between Lex and Superboy as well, and I absolutely loved the moment when he wants Superboy to come back to help him, and Superman's like, "No, he's staying with me." and he calls him Dad. Which was quite funny. But I liked that he was protective of him because in Young Justice, I didn't like the way Superman treated Superboy in the first series. He kind of was a bit standoffish and didn't want to speak to him. I don't know if have you watched Young Justice, Ryan?
I've only just recently started watching it for the first time, but I know
okay.
Yeah.
Well, you must if you've seen the first few episodes, you know what he's like towards him.
Yeah. That just Superman's. It's like, and I love Superman. I'm like, well, why is he being such a, pardon my language, such a dick?
Yeah.
To Superboy.
I think the thing is though, isn't it? He's basically a clone of him, isn't he? So I think that's kind of what brings it in. If you found a clone of you, where you'd be like, well, I didn't give birth to him, so he's not my son.
Again, it's just it's just another way of doing it, isn't it? It's another, but I prefer it this way, where he's kind of and at the end, obviously, we know he goes to live with the Kents, which I absolutely loved.
Yes, that made me smirk and smile too.
Yeah, and it's so Superman, isn't it, that he's like, right, you're my family now. I'm going to take you in, and I really liked that.
I think the other version though works well for Young Justice because of the way that show is.
Yeah, it's more. Yeah, it's a bit more. I don't want to say more serious, but it kind of is. It kind of is in a sense, even though this is obviously a higher rated age film because of the violence and stuff. But yeah. So, is there anything else you want to touch on before we see what I think of this?
Can't think of anything else.
No, Ryan, anything for you?
Other than just kind of being grossed out and sad that all those people that the cybernetic enhancements. I was actually kind of hoping that these people would survive. And it's like, they're not waking up.
And don't you think it's weird that the Justice League just sort of watch them fall, don't they? They're just like, oh, look, they're falling. It's like, why don't you try and stop them from falling?
I guess in my head canon, I was kind of interpreting it as, well, after their bodies were forced to mutate to open up the portal, they were just kind of already dead when they fell.
That's what I thought, yeah. Yeah, maybe so.
I quite liked that they died because I thought they were going to chicken out of that, and I thought it would give it more weight to the story.
Yeah, maybe so, yeah.
I kind of liked that because I did think they were going to come back to life, and I'm like, here we go, it's like Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
but they didn't do that, and I mean, I agree most of the times I would probably want them to survive, but I thought for this story,
it worked, didn't it?
With the darkness of Superman dying, I thought, it worked really well.
So, we might as well finish off talking about Cyborg Superman versus Superman and Lois. So, Ryan, you brought that up. So, do you want to give us your general thoughts on it and any moments that stood out to you and stuff?
I just like Lois Lane, woman of action. That she actually got, some good licks in as,
Yeah.
That was one of the things when I flipped back through it. I was going to say I love that Lois basically saves the day.
Yeah, I like that.
Without Lois, it's just game over, isn't it? And I think that's great.
Lois Lane is one of my favourite characters in comics. I absolutely love that character, and I think she was done such good justice in this film. And it's like I feel like this is her film actually. That from start to finish, it's like this is Lois's story, and you follow her. When you're doing the comic, I suppose as well, you follow her arc as she investigates who these Supermen are. She finds out the truth, doesn't she, and all that. And I just think it's her arc's absolutely brilliant. And I love the moment when she, because I knew that would come in, when she puts the shutters up to bring the sun in, and Superman's eyes just open, and Hank Henshaw's like, say something and all that. And he goes, I want you to see her die, don't he? He wants him to open his eyes, doesn't he? And then they're just red. I absolutely love that moment. I just keep thinking
one of the few times the angry red eyes of anger is justified.
Yeah. Because sometimes they overdo it in the comics, don't they?
Oh yeah. I'll admit that the new 52 was guilty of that.
Yeah.
I do have to always laugh at Superman can't kill somebody, so the way he kind of kills Cyborg Superman, he puts the thing in his head. For me, Superman just killed him.
This confused me. Is that right? Is Hank Henshaw's mind in that thing, and he's actually on Apocalypse? Because I was getting a little bit confused about that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that either.
Me too. Yeah.
I took it's his mind in there.
I almost wonder if he separates him from by using the Eradicator. I mean, I think basically Hank Henshaw's already dead, isn't he? At that point, you got to think of it.
Well,
he's not.
Well,
he's not a living being at that point.
If he's on a is it Apocalypse already? If he's on Apocalypse and he has stopped Darkseid from coming through, would he not have sort of killed the?
I don't know.
Would he have killed Hank Henshaw?
Anyway. Let's just say it shoves a crystal in his head, but the Eradicator does the work.
Yeah, I did laugh at that bit. I just thought, oh, here we go. This is the cop out for Superman not killing him.
Before we move on, who's your favourite? The 4 Supermen. So we've got Superboy, Steel, Cyborg, Superman, and Eradicator. Who's your favourite of each?
You want to go first, Ryan?
I would probably surprisingly lean towards Steel.
Okay.
First off, voiced by Black Lightning himself, Cress Williams, which that's never a bad thing. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, actually makes me want to go and hunt down some Steel comics because I mean, I don't pretend to know everything about Superman. I like to think that I know a lot, but not everything. Steel is kind of a blind spot for me. And
his arc in Return of Superman, the graphic novel, is actually quite interesting. I think that make a good film with the White Rabbit and all that.
And actually, like this movie, in a weird way, kind of like the Green Lantern movie, it makes me kind of want to go hunt down some Steel comics and read up on this character so that I can fill in that blind spot.
Just don't watch the Steel movie with Shaquille O'Neal.
I was going to say something about that.
Because that just has nothing. What? The 90s.
Yeah. Dan, what about you?
Definitely Superboy for me. He's so funny through it, and I think he gives it that humour that the film needs.
Yeah, definitely. Do you know who did his voice?
No.
You know who did his voice, by the way, Dan?
No.
It's Cameron Monaghan who does the voice of Jeremiah on Gotham.
Stop, really?
Oh, yeah,
did you not know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, he does a good job, doesn't he?
Yeah, he really does.
I had no idea. I do love his one line. How old are you? Old enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was
Lois follows that or something though, doesn't she?
I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't what she says now. Yeah, I've forgotten. But she's a bit like, don't think so, isn't she?
Yeah.
But he's like that in the comics. He's like, he was a bit of a hound dog at first, the Superboy.
Well, I kind of find like my favourite character is Batman, but I always like these characters that are maybe not the main ones. Like
the ones that make you laugh.
Yeah, like Flash is funny, and Kid Flash and Young Justice so funny.
Yeah.
And they kind of the characters start gravitating to and start really liking them. They become your like sort of your favourite character in a sense. You know, they might never top your number one, but you're kind of looking at them next and hoping they're around. They make the shows and the movies fun to watch.
Yeah. So my favourite character is Superboy as well. But I'm gonna cheat a little bit. The best look of them all is Eradicator. I think he looks cool as F, basically.
I don't know if you guys picked up on this. I probably am the only one who did, but I kind of did smirk when I realized that the most violent of all these different Supermen is also the one that shares the Man of Steel S logo.
All right, yeah.
I don't know. I just kind of picked up on that. And I'm not in the camp. I'm not one of those people that dislikes, Man of Steel or Batman. I love those movies, but I just kind of noticed these things.
Yeah, that's quite funny actually.
But the Eradicator, I found it a bit strange because he's trying. Is he trying to kill Lex Luthor or just?
Oh yeah. Eradication means he's going to kill him. That's what it does in the comic. But
if he's part of Superman's sort of, fortress and that, shouldn't he sort of be a bit more compassionate?
See, maybe that's one of the flaws of the movie then, because they don't really deal with that. Superman probably should have had a word with him, shouldn't he? Because in the comic, he's fighting. I think he's fighting Steel, and I think it's Lois Lane who basically tells him that you're not a hero, and he changes his ways. So I think maybe the film lacked that aspect.
That's probably again going back to what we were talking earlier, and Ryan mentioned about rushing through stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I suppose in a sense with the film, Superman does say he's a wild card, and he's like, maybe that's what we need. So maybe they do kind of address it.
To make it wild card, to make it look like I didn't really kill somebody.
Yeah, I didn't. Well, prove it. See, I would say that's the one aspect the comic book did better was the Eradicator Just more stuff with him, basically.
Yeah.
Could have done a bit more of him. But maybe he'll come back in a future film. Hopefully.
I do think as well, going back to the graphic novels, it's a bit like a book, isn't it? You always get more in that than you are going to in a movie or animated movie or whatever. Yeah.
Right then, Ryan, do you want to give us your overall thoughts on Reign of the Supermen?
Well, I'll do one final thought, and then do overall thoughts. Best adaptation of Cyborg Superman.
Yeah, I said that
because sure as hell better than what they did on Supergirl, and I love Supergirl, but damn.
That didn't even make any sense why he was called Cyborg Superman. And then he had that moment, didn't he, when he knocked out Supergirl, and he goes, "I'm the Cyborg Superman." It's like, what?
It's just what the just what the F? Just what? One of the few big glaring what the Fs I have with that show.
Yeah.
Because you know me, I love that show. I defend it. We've had this discussion.
Yeah.
But that I can't defend. That kind of crap I can't defend.
No. Well, he didn't like it, did he? The actor.
Wait,
he didn't like play it. What's he called? Who plays Hank Henshaw, Martian Man? What's he called? David Hare.
I love him. It's just
he said he didn't like playing the Cyborg Superman.
Oh, thank God.
He said he thought it was boring. He said basically
boring. Well, because they gave him crap to do. Whatever.
So overall thoughts on the
thoughts. I would. This movie had a lot of moments. Reign of the Superman had a lot of moments that I really did enjoy, but I would still say that Death of was better.
Yeah.
Because again, I felt like that one was given more time to develop and explore the characters and I know these movies are kind of short, hour 20, hour 30. They don't have a lot of time to cover a lot of ground, but Death of Superman, they gave more space to that one, while this one they tried to rush like the last 2/3 of the whole actual comic book storyline into one.
I mean, that's fair,
yeah. But overall, I liked it, and I'm, like I said, I don't know if I'll keep watching these, but
we'll let you know when we review another one.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we'll make you watch it.
Okay, fine. You have to watch it, or else you're not coming on. Fine. But it's for my first foray into the animated stuff, I really liked it. I surprisingly I liked it more than I thought I would. So
cool. Dan?
To be honest, I don't think I can say any more than what Ryan's just said. I think he just said.
Thanks, Ryan. No, we've got no.
God, I'm sorry. Fine, I'll never come back.
Well, he said it better than me as well. So but I just wanted to echo specifically the bit where I think you said, Ryan, unless I misheard what you said, but I think there are actually more. The amount of enjoyable moments in this. I think there's more of them than there is in the first one, but that's just because of.
It's the way the story's laid, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Thanks, bro, because I was struggling then as well.
Yeah. Well, you do have memory like a super bro, so. So I will say I love Reign of the Supermen. I think it isn't as good as Death of, but I would never expected it to be. Combined, these two are my favourite version of this story, and that includes comics and other animation and film. I think they pretty much nailed.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything I loved about the story, and I think they improved in a lot of aspects, which I think don't happen often with adaptations. And I'm looking forward to seeing the combined version. I'm hoping that the combined version has a bit more of that world without Superman. Because they said they're going to put some extra scenes in it.
I was going to ask you, is there extra new stuff that
apparently,
they're putting in?
No, it'll be like 30 seconds, but I'm hoping whatever they put in, it's more of the world without, so we get to see it. Because, I mean, there was the stuff with Bibbo in the first film, and that's really emotional, all that, and it was emotional in the comic as well, because he loses his friend and that, so... Yeah, I think...
Yeah.
So, before we do ratings, I'm just going to... I did a poll on the Twitter page. It was only a 24-hour one. We got 153 votes, and I did a poll and I included Superman Doomsday in it, say which is your favourite. And Superman Doomsday got 16%, The Death of Superman went way ahead with 63%, and Reign of the Supermen 21%. So I think everyone pretty much agrees with us. Or most, I should have said.
The one thing I forgot to say is after you told me that you thought Death of Superman was better, so I expected to enjoy Reign of Superman less, but I don't think I actually did. I think I enjoyed him equally.
Yeah, I think the same thing, but I think overall as a film, I think Death of Superman was a bit... And it was emotional. It was more emotional as well, I think. And I think, people, we might say we don't like to feel sad and stuff, but we all love a good cry now and then, don't we? And that sort of stuff.
Have you warned Ryan that we do ratings out of 10?
Right, I was just about to mention that. We rate out of 10, but if you feel like you want to do a letter grade, you can do a letter grade. No. Or you can give both. So.
I can do it. I can do it out of 10. That's fine.
Yeah. So out of 10, Ryan, can you give me Death of out of 10, and then give me Reign of out of 10?
I would give Death an 8 out of 10, and maybe Reign just knock it down to a 7.
Okay. Yeah. Dan?
Death for me is... I always tend to go quite high. Death for me is a 9. I think it's I think it's the best one I've watched. And I'm going to give Reign an 8.5 just because, like we discussed before, they rushed at the end.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any negatives for Death, and I do for...
Okay, and for me, Death of is 9.5. I'm pretty sure I'm not pretty sure, but
he is a little biased, Ryan, towards Superman movies.
I am, yeah. But I don't think I'm going to see a Superman film better than this, and if I do, it'll have to be really special. So I can't give it a 10 because you can't. I don't like giving stuff a 10 because then I think you say nothing can ever be better than it. So 9.5 is my limit. And I will give Reign of 8.5, which again is still a good rating, but I think just that point below because I think Death of was better.
Now I'm feeling bad here given the lowest ratings, and yet I enjoyed the movies.
I think
evening it out because I tend to go high if I enjoy something.
Yeah, same, yeah.
It's just like for me personally, I'm the weirdo that the animated stuff just doesn't always do it for me. So, but
that's understandable. Yeah,
I think that's understandable. I know some people just won't watch animated stuff.
Won't
watch it at all. So doing better than them.
Yeah, Ryan, do you want social media plugs? Do you want anyone to follow you on Twitter or anything, or you leave me alone?
No. If people do want to bother me for whatever reason, you can follow me on Twitter at @TheAmazingRyeGuy.
Cool. Yeah. Is that all of them? Yeah. Do you want to plug your podcast again, just so people know where to find the podcast?
Adam and I do Superhero and Sci-Fi Musings with Adam and Ryan. I think he still posts that to the Tales of the DC Multiverse.
Yeah, he does.
Feed. Yeah. And I'll also plug, obviously Tales of the DC Multiverse. I love what Adam and Travis are doing, and actually,
you're kind of a semi-regular guest, aren't you, on that?
I like to kind of refer to myself as a semi-regular, permanent semi-regular. As of now, I'm just once a month. But yeah.
I'm the international correspondent on that one, so I've got a nice little title. So, and if you want to follow us at the show, we are at MBP Movie Pod, and we are available on iTunes, Podbean, and Dan, what's the new one we're available on?
Stitcher,
that's it. Yeah,
and I have noticed in the UK as well now. Spotify, it says when I updated it on my iPhone, it says something about music and podcasts now.
Okay.
So whether we'll end up on there or not, I don't know. Do you think in America they had quite a strict policy for getting on there? So you might have to have so many listeners, so we might not be able to get on there. But
all right.
if we can, I'll get us on there as well.
If all two of you will listen, want to tell your friends about it. But again, it would be nice to get some iTunes reviews and various other things and feedback on the Twitter, even if you want to say to us you hate us. We'll still read it out on the show.
If it's constructive. I will mention actually that we did get somebody on YouTube asking us about a video feed. We actually weren't going to continue with YouTube because we wanted to do audio only, but I just feel it's a good platform to, what's the word I'm looking for? Put yourself out there kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
I think we could do a video one now and then or something, like as a special.
Yeah.
Not that anyone will watch it, but you never know. Right,
It was Jay's judgment, I would say. It's Jay's judgment who made that comment.
All right, cool. Thank you, Jay's judgment. Right then, on that note, we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
See you later.
Take care.
Right, that's a wrap on that
That's
one.
a wrap, yeah. Thanks for joining us, Ryan. Yeah, it was good.
Thank you for having me, guys.
I always think an American accent sounds better on a podcast than a British one anyway. So
I'm sorry, but you guys do kind of outrank me when it comes to class. So everything sounds better and more professional.
I know what you mean, sir. So, are you into Spider-Man, Ryan? Is that what?
I am. Yeah, I'm a mostly DC guy, but when it comes to Marvel, Spider-Man is like. He's my favorite of the Marvel characters, yes.
Well, how about when Far From Home comes out? I'll get you on for that, maybe?
Oh, would love to, yes.
Yeah, and we'll get you on for stuff before then, obviously.
Of course,
That's one to schedule you on for.
Wait, this one podcast didn't scare you guys away from inviting me back?
Who knows?
Well, it has lasted about 30 minutes longer than it normally does.
Yeah, because Ryan doesn't shut up. No, listen.
I just mumble and ramble and just talk incoherently.